guys, and welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about self-control, basically under the theme remember the goal. So I watched a movie and I highly recommend that you actually watch it. It's called Remember the Goal. It's a simple movie, really. It's a simple Christian movie, and you will definitely enjoy it. It's just really nice. I enjoyed it personally. If you like simple things, you will enjoy it. And it's good to take a break from the complicated stuff and just watch something simple. It's really nice, and it will help you to understand what I'm talking about when I'm talking about remembering the goal. I want you to understand that self-control is something that we have power to own. So the Bible, you probably know the verse I'm going to talk about, where it says God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of self-love and for sound mind, stuff like that. What you need to understand is you have the power, and this video is a video that I feel like I have to talk about, because there are things that you can't talk to people about, weaknesses that you struggle with, your struggles in general that you don't know how to let out and let people know. You can't share it, and that's how the enemy corners you. When you can't share your struggle, when you've come to a point where you are alone because you're like, nobody's gonna understand me, nobody's gonna understand my struggle. And this comes in disguised as like temptations or like bad habits that just leash on you, and now you're trying to get rid of them, but it's like this voice keeps echoing in your head, like, what could possibly go wrong? Like, why do you really have to? Just one more time, all these things. At the end of the day, you're like, I want to enjoy my life, I only live once, I'll change later. Do you understand? And I feel like this happens to a lot of us, but because we don't know how to talk about these things, and you're scared that if I talk about this, people will assume that I'm doing this. If I do this, this is going to happen. And so now you shut the world out of your life, like the people that are supposed to be your helpers, because you're scared of being judged, you're scared of being looked upon differently. You want to still preserve this normal look in front of the people that live around you, but at the same time you've lost yourself. So you've lost integrity in general, because you don't know what's true to you anymore. And it's like somehow you've seen a side of you that you didn't know existed. And when that happens, it becomes so hard for you to know yourself, because you're like, who is this person? And you struggle to trust yourself, because you're no longer sure if you actually could listen to yourself. If you say, we're not doing this today, and then voice procrastination says, but it's not due until Wednesday, and then you're like, I guess we could take some time off. And when you create that free time, what happens is procrastination has created that free time for you, right? And because you have no routine that you stick to, you start having that gap. Like, you feel empty because there was an empty gap in your life that you didn't know how to fill in. And that obsession, that bad habit came and squeezed itself in and was like, come on, you're not doing anything. Come on. When procrastination opened up space for whatever bad habit that was, you were like, what could possibly go wrong? I've got time. And what happens with these bad habits is, I feel, you start looking at yourself and you think, I can't control it. You think it's part of me, and you start enhancing it into your system. And I just wanted to let you know that the reason that happens is because you give yourself the leeway to thinking about it. So a lot of the times we consider what we can do, and we look at the things that we went. Do you understand? Let me break it down for you guys. When you go through something and you're over it, I think I talk about this like partly in my book. If you haven't already got it, I advise you check it out. The link is going to be in my description box. So to be honest with you guys, what happens with the whole idea of temptation, bad habits leashing on you, is once you start, right? Maybe you started and you're like, no, I want to stop. And then you're like, okay, I'm stopping. And then now that you've stopped, you're like, did I really stop? You constantly think about this. And I think that's really what happened to Lot's wife, right? She goes and she's like, are we really out? But she's been told that don't look back. But deep inside of her, she still wants to know, like, are we really out? It's just like this, the constant thought of your past will take you back to it. Thinking about it brings it back to life, and that's what happens with a bad habit. Whatever the bad habit is or does to you, by the time it happens, you forget that God is there, or you don't care. Like, it's one of those, I'll talk to God later and I'll see what I can do about it. And to be true to yourself, you know it's wrong. It's even worse when you know it's wrong, because you know that there's a high chance that you'll be punished for it, and that probably will have a hard time recovering from it. And like with the bad habit thing, I think we need to think about it. For me personally, I don't believe, the whole notion that nothing heals the past like time, because I used to believe it. I used to think, time heals. But time doesn't heal if you didn't deal with it. That's the truth. Because you can't just be like, okay, we're done with this bad habit, or we're done with this toxic person who was a part of my life for so long. I'm going to cut him off or cut her off and move on with my life. Because what's going to happen to you is you're going to cut them off and you're going to leave it like that. You don't deal with it. You don't deal with the pain that it caused you. You don't do anything. You just cut them off, and you're like, at least I cut them off, and you're done, and you're like, I'll just avoid them. Time's gonna heal me. It's not gonna heal you, because the next time you meet that person, or the next time you're tempted to do that bad habit, it's gonna be as fresh as when you left, because you didn't deal with it. So don't think that just because it's been a while since you did it, or it's been a while since that person, exited your life, you're fine. You're not fine. A lot of the times we blame it on the devil, which is true. The devil is the weapon that comes and, brings those temptations to us. He is the one that constantly burns that desire in you to do that bad thing that you're trying to avoid doing. And, and in your heart of hearts, God has given you the power. He says it in his word. He has given you the power to live in such a situation, to be able to overcome. There's a voice that comes and tells you that just once, or tells you, what's really the harm? Is there really a harm? Is this really wrong? Do I really not have to do this? Like, I can think about it later. Like, there's this voice that will tell you, think about it later. And if something that you're doing already needs second thoughts, it's wrong. So the thing is, sometimes you don't even want to think, because it's wrong, and you're trying to like avoid all those conscious voices that will tell you the truth, that will tell you that don't do this. You don't want to hear them at that time, because you just want to be like, I want to leave once, I want to be in the moment. And at the same time, that harms you, that destroys you. So I want to let you know what I do in those situations. So when I'm exiting a situation, or like a hard or a bad habit, what I do is I write down every reason why I have to leave it. So at that point, it helps you, because those things come back to you. The bad habits, they're gonna come back, because you're constantly going to think back at it, and you're like, oh, I conquered that. And it's good that you are thinking about the achievement part, but the problem is you're thinking about the problem as your achievement. So it's constantly gonna come back again and be like, you're thinking about me, so I'm back. Or even if you're not thinking about it like that, but you constantly are feeling relieved that you exited that situation, but because you never dealt with, you never wrote it down, you never wrote why you exited that situation, when it comes back stronger, the Bible says when an unclean spirit leaves a person, it comes back with 7 more like demons, like it comes with more of its relatives and stuff like that, and tries to evade your space again. And so this time it's stronger, and if you're not stronger, you're gonna crumble and let it in, and you're gonna like, I don't even know how to express it, but it's gonna be your end, right? Sometimes it feels like, what can I do? It's like the heart wants what it wants, hey. But trust me, my darling, the Bible says guard your heart because everything you do flows from it. So I don't want you to be blaming your heart in situations and feeling like there's nothing I could have done because I mean, what was I going to do and everything like that. I want you to understand that you have the control you need. So if you're feeling lazy, you feel like I can't discipline myself to read, self control. Remember the goal. I feel like we all need to remember the goal. The goal is to get to heaven. The goal is to please God. The goal is to follow the right path. And at the end of the day, whatever else comes doesn't matter. So the reason you give in to those temptations is for temporary joy. And everyone will tell you that do not make permanent decisions based on temporary emotions. So right now you want to feel fun, you want to feel great or whatever. I don't know what people want to feel, you know, you want to feel stuff and you're going to compromise and do that bad habit. And that bad habit is going to become a part of your diet. That's another problem that you don't realize, because what you constantly feed yourself becomes your diet, and that's going to be so hard when it becomes a habit, and it's going to be like your diet and you're going to struggle even more to remove it. Where you focus, that's where your treasure lies, right? You know, the Bible will tell you all those things, but because you won't listen, you will keep falling deep. Sometimes you know all of this, you know it, but it's so hard to apply it. It's like, Lord, I want to follow you. And you find yourself praying prayers like that. Lord, I want to follow you, but I don't know what's going on. It feels like I don't know myself. You act like God is the one who's supposed to rescue you. And God will rescue you, right? But God gave you what you need for the rescue. So what is the problem? God gave you self-discipline. God gave you all those things, but you can't apply it to your life because you are feeling like there's nothing I could have done. You're feeling like this is too much, it's overpowering me. But to be fair, if you didn't think about it in the first place, it wasn't going to get to that. So don't think about it, okay? That's the first thing. Dismiss it as a thought. It's always easier like that. When it comes and it's like, by that time you had fun, don't you want? No. Just cut it off there. And the more you do that, the more you move past it. But I want to tell you something. You don't have to explain yourself to anyone. You do you, okay? Like, if you are not ready for certain things, don't force yourself. Don't be like, everyone else is doing it. Remember you. Remember the goal, okay? Remember who you are. Remember where. Even, even the Lion King reminds you, Simba, remember who you are. You are my son and the one true king. And that's what I want to let you know today. Remember who you are. You're God's child. And you don't know how all those people got to be here around you. But you are God's child. And no matter what they're doing, you know what got you here in the first place. So don't try to be like, I was following the crowd. You know, trying to be like, if they're doing it and they're fine, what could possibly go wrong? You don't know what they're using. You don't know who they are. Don't follow people that are not going your direction, okay? At the end of the day, most of the times it feels like I couldn't have done anything else. But you could have. You just chose not to. You just chose not to let that sensible side of you to talk. You were like, this one sounds interesting. When this one was telling you that, you know what, this negative side of yours, it literally has everything figured out just for that time. Like, for the time where you're supposed to indulge and do things that will hurt you in the future. It's like, what's wrong? Like, let's just take this day off. Let's just take this day off. Let's just not do anything, let's just be lazy. Let's do this. And it's going to lead you down a path of misery. But at that time, it feels good because it will give you all those imaginations of everything you've ever wanted, or everything that it makes you think like you need. And you're going to fall into the trap, my lovely one. And when you do fall into the trap, it won't be there. The voice, I don't even know what happens. Do you know what happens? When you're done, the voice disappears. That's like if you watch a TED talk on procrastination, the guy talks about how the fun voice will tell you that there's still time, let's rejoice, let's enjoy. And then when it's not time to be serious, when it's like due tomorrow morning and you haven't done it at night, the voice disappears. And now reasoning is like, what are we gonna do? And then now you're left alone to struggle and fend for yourself because the fun voice is now sleeping and it's gone. So I don't want you to get into situations that are going to compromise your security, your sanity. Because at the end of the day, those things destroy us. You're like, I can't go back. I've done too much. I don't even know how to do this. Like, this is a therapy session. I hope it helps you to see that. Work these things out. Write down. This is my own way of dealing with it. And I hope you have, if you can try it. So please remember who you are. Like, write down those things that hurt you. Deal with them. Deal with the hurt. Watch videos on how to recover from that. And I just want to enforce that the power is in your hands. You have what it takes. God has given you everything you need. So don't blame it on anyone. Other thing is, it's not like you get rid of the thing immediately. Sometimes it's a working process. So you are trying to find your self-control, and you constantly look at yourself in the mirror and you're like, I'm not going back there, I'm not doing that again, you know, everything. You're trying to avoid it, but you find yourself doing it again. I want to remind you that it's a process. So it's not going to be just like it's gone. You have to work on eradicating it from your system. So I'm talking about that desire that comes back and gives you this excitement to go back, you know, and you're like, because you know that that voice is going to win automatically. So don't have that defeatist mentality that's like, I'm losing this one. Like, I'm losing this one with myself. I know myself, I'm going to do this. And, you know, just don't be like the I'm like that type of vibe person. So I want you to actively transform yourself, actively be involved in this journey. Be like, I'm not going to listen to you. Listen to me. We are working today. We're not resting. We're not watching some movie. We are going to read until we finish. You know, that type of vibe. We're not doing this. We're not going back there. That you know what happened last time. You know why we're not supposed to do that. So we're not doing it. And you know, even if it feels like it's overpowering you, just replace it with something. The reason why we go back is because now I'm not talking about relationships. Now I'm really talking about bad habits. The reason you go back to it is because you didn't replace that habit. So because you just went like, I'm done with you, and you didn't have a replacement, it's still empty. That place is empty and needs something to fill it up. And because you don't have anything, you're going to return the thing that was originally there. So replace that bad habit, you know. But in relationships, don't replace that person. You need to heal first. But for this one, replace it, okay? Replace it immediately and make sure that there is something that fills up your time at this particular time. Find things that excite you, because trust me, the person that you are is not this bad person that you imagine, you know, because what we tend to do is glorify the bad things that we do. And when we do that, we tend to feel bad about ourselves and we feel like there is nothing that we can achieve. But if you magnify the good that you do and magnify your good traits, magnify what you like doing, what's your favorite part about a process? This I had from Brini Lee. So that you find out what type of person you are in terms of business, in terms of stuff like that. Find out what you like best, because trust me, it's not like your life revolves around this one particular bad habit or this one person or whatever the case is. You need to enjoy your life. So discover things that make you happy. Okay, you like this type of genre in movies, but what else do you like? Maybe you like podcasts. Maybe you like TED Talks. Give yourself a chance to explore and learn what you actually like. And trust me on this one. It helps you because now your excitement is driven by something else. It's driven by this new activity that you're learning. It's driven by this new acquired hobby that you are practicing to enhance into your system. And have a routine, guys. Why am I saying this? If you have a routine, your schedule is packed and you don't have time for extra crap. So you know that, okay, at 2 o'clock I'm doing this, at 1 o'clock I'm doing this, and it might be hard to follow a schedule, but trust me, if you put things that are fun and make sure that you give yourself breaks. You know yourself, you know that I get tired easily. For me, I know that I would definitely exercise. Why? Because I took that oath to myself and said, you have to finish this, you have to see the results after this. And because of that, I am going to go through with it. And now I'm talking about studies. You might be feeling lazy to read your books, you know, you might be feeling like, I can't do this. Self-control needs to be present in your life. I want you to imagine your life without that education, and the fear of failure needs to motivate you to to pass. Do you know people who say I'm motivated by the fear of being average? That's supposed to be your motto. If you can't motivate yourself because you don't want to see the bigger picture of you successful, see the smaller picture of you unsuccessful, and that should motivate you to actually work hard. So there's nothing like, I'm feeling lazy. Yes, we all feel lazy. Do you think anyone out here doesn't have the symptoms that you have? Like, people, you think people don't feel lazy out here? People don't feel like procrastinating. People don't feel like doing bad habits. People don't feel like this and that. Everyone feels it. But those successful people, what makes them be so successful and respected in society is because we know that they also go through what you go through, what you gave into and chose to not move out of. They chose to be like, this is not me. They chose to be like, this is not where I see myself. And they chose to live that. They chose to fight it until they won. They chose to take hold of their self-control and make sure that they were the owners of their lives. But if you don't understand that, you always just look and envy people and feel like you'll never get there because you're letting your body control your mind. Your mind. Trust me, I want to give you an example. For me, I was doing exercises with Chloe Ting, and for the first days I literally used to sleep. I used to like give myself more rest, because some of the exercises should be like, no resting here guys, next. And for me, I think I would be more confident with a fitter body, so that is why I want it. So if I can't get it, I have to work towards it, right? So what I was driving at was the whole idea of how, yeah, so when I was doing the exercise on the first day, I was like, I can't do this. And I was like, no, but you have to finish the whole exercise today. So I kept on like giving myself 20 seconds rest, 30-second rest, or something like that, to just make sure that I'm still fine, because at the end of the day I need to survive to get the body right. I'd rather be alive and trying than, you know, dead because I tried too hard. So that's what I did. I gave myself time, and as we progressed, I saw that my resistance grew. Well, at first it got worse. Like previously I didn't sweat when I was doing her exercises, and then this one day I think it was like day 4 or something, and it was like intense, and I was like, but I'm doing the same workout, what's going on? Because it's a challenge, you know what I mean? And I was like, I'm doing the same workout, why is it different this time? And you know, I was shocked. But then the following day, I literally was able to do it without even like taking extra time off. I was literally going with her when she was talking about the burn. I was feeling it then, because last time it was like when she was talking, I was in a different space. I was already down and she was busy then experiencing it. But then on that day, it felt, you know, like we were on the same page, and I was moving according to her pace. So that's my point. Stop it. Stop thinking you cannot do it. Give yourself a try. You know, you guys should read my book. Honestly, I know most of you haven't read it, and I think you should. But nonetheless, the point is, give yourself, you know, a routine. Be like, I need to do this every day of my life. So for me personally, I have a routine. It's over there. Pray for the strength from the Holy Spirit, because at the end of the day, the Holy Spirit is there to teach us new things. Is there to change our appetite and to help us to adjust to the new world that we have chosen, right? So I hope that this video finds you strong and healthy, and if it found you in your weakest, I hope that it has lifted you into a better situation where you view life differently, and you can see that you have what it takes, and you can see that you are in control after all. So remember to watch, remember the goal. And I think that's what I'm trying to emphasize here. Remember the goal. If you remember, like for me, when I feel tired during those exercises with Chloe Ting, I'm like, we still need to get where we want to go, right? I imagine myself with the achievement that I'm trying to acquire, and that's why I get back there and I do it. And you know, at first I didn't want to do workouts with Chloe Ting, because I was like, everyone does workouts with Chloe Ting, like what's so special about her? Let me try someone different. And then I saw that people don't like you for no reason. If you're good, you're good. So that's why I went to her, guys. She's really effective. She should sponsor my video, right? But no, honestly speaking, don't be like, I'm not going to listen to her because everyone listens to her. I'm not going to do this because everyone's doing it. Sometimes what everyone's doing could be right for you, right? It's not like you're following the masses as such. But if you know that, okay, you want something along those lines and you've been told that this person is good at that food, it's a privilege for you to know. Actually, other people are looking for that big person and they don't know him, they don't know who the person is, and you're busy saying, me, I want to be different, I want to look for someone different. Don't do that to yourself. Help yourself and save yourself the drama. But anyways, guys, this video has become long, unfortunately, and I hope that it was worth your time, because at the end of the day, what are we trying to achieve? We're trying to achieve a tomorrow with a better you and a better me and a better us. Better. Don't do the things that don't need to be done, okay?